How's it going, everybody? And I gotta tell you, July 11th is just, IPEC Goat. We know how IPEC Goat begins with, let me go to that real quick for you. We know how it opens up with the goat, but it opens up with the lights in the sky first. It's dark. So the first thing it wants you to know is it's talking about lights in the sky at night that are circles. These are six moons of Capricorn since 2020. And we had two last year. If not, because that's 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. That's your six. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Another one on 2024. That's your sixth. This is your seventh when his head pops out. Last year, we did have two Capricorn full moons. If you don't want to count that, then it's just the six in the sky and it's telling you the sign. It's a two-way go either way telling us this, but I'll prove to you we had two last year. Hang on. You go to 2024 and you look at June. So I can't remember if it was June or July. But the moon went into, yeah, it was okay. So it was June and July. I wasn't sure if it was June and July or July, August. So the moon went into Capricorn at 7:09 p.m., but the full moon didn't go full until 21:07 or 11:07. I'm sorry. Um, 21 is 9:07, right? Yeah. Okay. Either way, it's after 7 o'clock because 7 is 19:09 because 6 o'clock is 18. So 7 would be 19:09. It went into Capricorn. So at 9:07 or 21:07 was the full moon. That's June. And then you go to July. So you had a Capricorn moon in June and you had another Capricorn full moon on July 21st. The moon was in Capricorn on the 20th and it moved into Aquarius at 7:43 a.m. But the moon was already full at 6:16 before the 7:43 moved to Aquarius. So you had two Capricorn full moons last year. Which cuts back to 2020, 2021. Let's count all three. I mean, all six of the sky. 2020, and the one in 2020 was quite spectacular. That was the let's go back to 2020 before we count them because it was significant because yes, it was that year 2020, but it was also there it was right there on June 24th. It was the full moon from a new moon solar eclipse on June 10th. It was the full moon of that or from that. The full moon in July was on the 23rd. And yeah, and that was after the full moon was after it changed into Aquarius. I was just checking that. So you didn't get two there. But let's go back. So, again, you only had two last year. It's the only time I've ever noticed that. So you had 2020 from a total solar eclipse, and we remember 2020 began this whole stuff, right? Let's count the six: 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2024. And then what pops out after those six moons? The seventh, coming up on July 10th. That's why him rising on July 10th or July 11th or July 13th is very big to me because I'm really starting to look at this full moon is July 10th this year. So it means as this full moon takes place, that's what kicks off the event. And the future man of sin on July 11th does turn into a palindrome, days old, 28882. And remember, 888 is part of his name. I think it's the Donald J. Trump. In English gematria comes to 888. And he's 28882 days old, which is a palindrome. It's the same number moving backwards and forwards, which was what the movie Tenet was about. And if you look at Tenet that came out in 2020, and if we run it to our 7-Eleven, I haven't done this yet, but I'm curious. I want to look at it. It had a premiere 1780. Well, today is the 178th day of the year, but 1780. And on the rising day, which would be the 13th, what took place on the 13th last year? That's right, that big event. We remember the right ear. What did he do on that day? He rose up and said, "Fight, fight, fight." That was symbolic of him rising and World War III beginning. Fight, fight, fight. World War III. Because him going down is White Horse, him rising, I do believe will kick off the Red Horse War, but he rises on the third day, the Dark Knight, as Jesus did. The Dark Knight Rises came out 2 days after the Dark Knight, July 18th to July 20th. They were 4 years apart, but they were 2 days apart to signify rising on the third day. And nobody will know he's alive because he never died. It's the twin that takes this right eye wound. But the ritual of Satan possessing his body will be on that third day. And he will go into perdition, running World War III, ending World War III, and then the earth will be extremely supernatural at that point. Who can make war with the beast? He's ended World War III, and he has seemingly risen from the dead to save the earth. And so when we look at Tenet, it is 4 years, 10 months, 17 days. You have your 117 for Revelation 11:7. The beast rising from the pit is coded in that. That was Tenet's premiere date. Its big date worldwide. Well, I'll be doggone. If you run it to the 11th, boy, I tell you what, the full moon is a palindrome from Tenet's wide release date 1771. So anyway, I just want to take a look at Tenet, same number going backwards and forwards. 710 is the eve or the date of the full moon. Eve is also 710 in the Jewish Hebrew gematria. And you key in Eve, the Jewish or Hebrew is 710 because the V is worth 700. So it's very interesting looking at July 11th. And yeah, it's just very interesting. There's some personal ciphers that lead into this also that I will get to later on my other channels. But let's go ahead on and get on with this.